Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Shireen. Thank you for joining, guys. Thank you so much for joining. But before we get started here, I want to make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. And if you do subscribe to my channel, you will be the first to know when I upload videos, guys. So today I will be talking about age gap relationships, guys. I will be doing 3 sets of video on age gap relationship, but today we will be focusing on the survey part of the relationship, guys. So let us just jump in. But before we jump in, I want to say every situation is different, right? Because people have different scenarios, people have different experience. So, and I must say that there is a bit of contradiction in the literature, but nevertheless, I am going to share with you what I have learned, right? And also, guys, you need to know that I have been in age gap relationship. I have been with somebody 32 years older than I am. I have been with somebody 25 years older than I am, and I have been with somebody 13 years older than I am. So I am fully equipped. I have experience, guys, and I am here to share it with you. So to start, you know that within a relationship, the woman is usually the younger person, right? And an ideal relationship is 1 to 3 years age gap, right? Surveys show that men who marry to younger spouse, they are most satisfied at first. But eventually, the feeling of the younger spouse is not reciprocated. Let us look at that, guys. So you're married to this younger woman. And in the beginning, the first 10 years or so, the relationship is wonderful. And then after, you feel satisfied, but she is not satisfied, right? She's not reciprocating. She's not satisfied. The younger person, she's not satisfied. So all I can say is that maybe the sex is not great, because as you get older, you lose that zest, right? You don't have the energy anymore, right? The age gap, maybe she noticed that the age gap is too much for her, right? And she's reconsidering, right? Because people, when you date certain age, you have to understand that they do sometimes make mistakes, and nothing is wrong with trying to correct your mistakes, right? Maybe you guys have nothing in common. Maybe it's just a generational gap. The music, is different. You guys just can't communicate, right? That could be one of the issue why they are saying here that the younger spouse does not reciprocate that love. Or maybe you guys just not in love anymore, or it is no longer tasteful, right? So these are things to consider before you make a decision and getting into an age gap relationship. And also, guys, this is vice versa. For the same thing for women. Now, for women, when a woman married a younger guy and she get divorced and then she go back and married an older guy, survey is showing that the relationship is doesn't really work. She's dissatisfied also. So note, we also want younger man. So the larger the age gap, you and your partner, the more likely you will end up in divorce, guys. Yes, guys, the probability is much higher if the age gap is larger. Yes. Dating someone closer to your age is more likely to last longer. That is what the survey is showing, right? So in this kind of relationship, there are 7% of these people that are involved with age gap relationship. Right? That said, in Canada, there is not a lot of age gap relationship. Now, where I come from in Jamaica, there is a lot of age gap relationship because of the socio-economic situation there. So in the beginning of a relationship, 10 years of marriage, people report a higher level of satisfaction when the partner is younger. However, over time, the satisfaction of the age-different couple decline more than of the similar age couple. So there you have it, guys. The satisfaction decline faster than if you're involved with somebody of the same age. If the age gap is 5 years, the divorce rate is 18%. If the age gap is 10 years, the divorce rate is 39% higher. So guys, these are things you have to think about. If it's 20 years, it's 95%. Right? So it's more likely to end up in divorce. So think before you make these decisions. However, it doesn't mean that the relationship is going to end up in divorce. Right? If you guys practice the 5 essentials for healthy relationship, maybe it can work, which is communication, respect, boundary, trust, and support. Guys, that's all you need to practice, and be patient. Yeah. Also, a big thing, guys, you have to keep in mind, you have to deal with all the stigma of the relationship. What is that? What does that look like? When you're dating somebody older than you, all eyes are turning to look at you when you go to a restaurant, especially if the age gap is so large and noticeable. Those things can make you frustrated, you feel depressed, right? Not only that, it creates problem with your friends and your family, right? In contrast, studies have shown that people with age gap relationship experience higher satisfaction. They said that they are more committed and the jealousy rate is lower. So that is something to think about. When do people start noticing age gap? I think it depends on the culture, right? I truly believe that it depends on your culture. Black and white go together. I mean, the age gap might not be as big, but because usually black people usually look a little bit younger, it's more noticeable, right? So that's another thing you have to take into consideration. But for me, or what I've seen, when you start noticing the age gap, it's around the 8 years mark, right? That is when it looks noticeable. 10 years or older, when you're dating somebody 10 years or older, it can be problematic. That is what I say, because the gap is so high that the probability of it working is going to be lesser. That doesn't mean that it can't work, as I said before, but the probability is higher for a divorce. What you have to do, though, you have to work on it, right? Because there's lots of nuances, there's lots of stuff that you have to contend with when you have an age gap relationship as 10 years or larger than 10 years. Now, I want to say that sometimes when people are in age gap relationship, they are in denial. Right? More so, sometimes when men are in age gap relationship, they will oftentimes ask if them look older or them look young, or even with the young person, them feel in them head that they look just as young as the younger partner, which is not true. You don't look as young as the younger partner. You feel like you're the person age, but you certainly don't look as young as that person. So don't be in denial. Some things that people are in denial would say to themselves is that age doesn't matter. It is just a number. I don't see the difference. Rubbish. Stop being in denial. Of course, there is a difference. Age matters, right? Because if you and a person is a decade apart, do you listen to different music, you eat different food, especially if they are different culture, right? You don't have anything in common really if when it get to 25 years, 30 years, right? And sometimes they can become it can become very bothersome. At first, you will tolerate it. Like when I was dating somebody 30 years older than I am, they oftentimes listen to like Kenny G. I mean, yes, I appreciate Kenny G. But then when I grew up in the 90s, I was listening to Whitney, and the person didn't really like that, didn't really like hip-hop music and all that stuff, right? And so when we're driving in the car, there's always okay, who listen to what? But as I said, it can work if you compromise, but you must understand that you have to work on the relationship harder than if you have just a person your own age, right? And that's the difference. I'm not going to get into it in the survey, but these are things that can create problem. Now, if a person is saying that the age doesn't matter and whatnot, it could be because the person is immature and not emotionally developed, right? They don't know themselves. Because sometimes we get into relationship. For example, when I was younger, I got into relationship with an older person. I was young. I was wet behind the ears, and I thought I was ready. But looking back at it, right? I'm 45 now. Looking back at when I was 19-year-old dating an older man. I mean, come on. I wouldn't recommend it for my daughter. No, by no means. Right? But sometimes socioeconomic and different things, you're in different stage of your life or where you were at the time in your life that causes you to date a certain type of person, right? I'm not saying that is for everybody, but that was for me. Right? And maybe the culture that you come from, it's a norm, right? Could be. And I'm just being truthful here. I mean, my situation is my situation. I mean, it's different for everybody. And some people can be in denial because they're in the relationship for the wrong reasons. And when I say the wrong reason, maybe them in the relationship just in and out, they just want to get something, and then they are not there for the long haul, right? They're not there to shack up and get married or nothing. They're just there they just want to get something, maybe get something financial, get somebody to take care of them, and then they're gone, right? So those are things that you have to think about, right? But if somebody is in the relationship for the long haul, you have to think about all these nuances, like how hard you have to work on the relationship, making sure that you and that person have similar goals, you're heading in the same direction, you want the same thing, your morals aligned, stuff like that, right? Now, all I can say is you have to be true to yourself, right? You have to be true to yourself, and you can't be in denial. You have to look at the facts, right? Remember, if the person is older than you, they may be in different stage of their life, right? You may be in early adulthood. They may be in the senior age. There's different stage in your life. And it's different. And you have to admit to that, right? You can't just, age is just a number. It is not, right? It is not. Because when you meet a person, you're 30 years old, and the person is 67 years old. By the time you're 40-year-old, or you're 50-year-old, that person, you're going to have to take care of that person. And if you're in the relationship for the long haul, those are things that you have to consider before you make the commitment. Right? It seems like, I can do it. But when it happened, and when the test is there, that is how you're going to know if you're going to run. And the older person have to think about that too. I have a friend. He said to me one time, an older guy, he said to me, he was dating this girl. And this girl, he told me that he had a mild stroke. And when he had a mild stroke, she's his girlfriend. She was a younger woman. And this is in North America, and she did not want to take care of him, and he had to get rid of her right away because him realized, say, if something should happen to him, she's not going to be by his side. So he had to, remove himself from the situation and find somebody else who is there for him for the long haul. And that is what you have, that's fundamental. That is what you have to think about when you're entering these relationships, both the young person and the older person, because you have to ask yourself, do you want to take care of that person? Right? Anyhow, guys, this is not the video for that, but I'm just saying. One of the major factors in an age gap relationship is social disapproval. Yes, guys, it is big. Your friend, your family, and the community. People need community. People need them friend for support. People need people. And if you're going to go into an age gap relationship, sometimes you lose friend over that. Or sometimes, people don't want to come around when you have some older person around, It is sad, but it's true. And those are factors you have to look at. It is sad, but it's true, right? I mean, that said, that doesn't mean that you and the person can't make it if you don't care a rat's about anybody else. But it get lonely, and after a while, you won't be happy, right? After a while, you won't be happy. In the beginning of the relationship, you love each other and you can't get enough of each other. But after a while, you're going to need friends and family around, right? So all I'm saying is that sometimes people don't want to face the truth. Even when the truth is staring them in the face. Again, people believe what they want to believe to suit their needs. Guys, I fear to mention that the survey speaks about men who marry younger women. Men who married younger women tend to live longer. So that's a benefit to the men. The survey did not state that if a woman marry a younger man, she's going to live longer. There's nothing to corroborate that. What it does state, though, is that if a woman married a younger guy, she will be more satisfied. Also, the survey shows that when a couple are in a large age gap relationship, they tend to report a higher level of depression than a couple that are in the same age relationship. Now, before I end this video, guys, I'm going to say how much age gap is okay. What do you think? Okay, so you take your age and you divide it by 2 and then add 7. So if you're 60, you divide it by 2, that is 30. And then you add 7, that is 37. So you date somebody around the 37 man. This is called the creepiness rule. You hear what it's called? The creepiness rule. The person's still young, right? Because if you're 60, you're dating a 37-year-old. It is still young. But it's up to you, right? Some of us like young people because we have vitality and we're young. But there are other factors to consider when dating somebody younger. And you can't, if somebody change their mind along the way, you cannot blame them, right? Remember, they are young, and young people can change their mind, right? Because sometimes the frontal cortex is not yet developed. Oh, we get into the video. Anyhow, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it today. Share my video, subscribe to my video, and I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Mwah. Bye.